They weren't, it just, no, they weren't gifted the money. They stole it. The money was gifted to children. Okay, this is something that I was trying to explain I don't know if it was my last video about this, but it was either the last one or the one before that I made about this topic. I said, like, this money wasn't stolen from taxpayers, it was stolen from children. Okay, that's what I said. And a lot of people got mad at me for saying that. I got multiple comments where people were like, you fucking dumbass, it was stolen from the taxpayer. And it's like, well, sort of, here's what actually happened. Okay, let's break it down. Like, we all know this in our minds, but, like, let's just go through it step by step. The government passed legislation in Minnesota to give money to the children. Okay, are we following? And so then they got the money and they gifted it. Okay, they gave it as a gift to the children. For the children. And then the scammers intercepted, okay, the middlemen that were supposed to provide the food and the education, right, to these children with this tax money. They pocketed it instead. That's what happened. So it's not like really stealing from the taxpayer, okay? The taxpayer was paying the money anyway. They stole the money from the children. The money was given to the children, and they stole it. The money for the children. And we're live. What's going on, chat? What's up? I hope everyone's doing well this evening. It's another day in the beautiful land of the free. In the land of the free, baby. Home of the brave. Let's go. Okay, anyway, today I decided we're gonna react to this guy, Right Wing Coalition. That's right. I've only reacted to him once before. Okay, but he's got a new video out, and I'm real interested in what he's got to say. Okay, now, I've reacted to him once before, but I wanted to go ahead and announce this. I am going to have a full, like, basically series coming out about this guy, about the Right Wing Coalition, the guy running this channel, and Tom Foe. Okay, they had a Discord call together, and I commentated over it, and I got really intoxicated. So if you want to see me progressively get more and more drunk, then you can watch all 8 hours of this anthology. This anthology series. Is that the right word, actually? What the fuck is an anthology? I don't even know. Definition. A collection of flowers? What? Oh, okay, a collection of flowers of literature. That is beautiful passages. I see. Yeah, so, hey, that works. Yeah, so my anthology series where I commentate over this, like, kind of podcast, I guess, just like Discord call between these two fucking Nazis. If you want to just, like, skip to the part of me being drunk, then it should be around, like, episode 3 when it really starts kicking in. That's when I really shifted it into high gear with the vodka. Okay, but anyway, that's just a heads up on that. Okay, I'm gonna be releasing that slowly. But let's get right into it. Here we go. Right Wing Coalition. We got Nick Shirley here. This video is called Justice for Minneapolis.
Really managed to expose one of the most enraging things that this nation has ever seen. The Somalian fraud has solidified the uncomfortable truth that Americans aren't even second-class citizens in their own country. We are far, far beneath even that. This situation exemplifies an element of American society that so many people on the right have been calling attention to for years. In our own country, non-Americans are venerated while Americans are denigrated. It isn't like being an American is a neutral status. American citizens are actually disadvantaged in our own country. there is malice being directed at American citizens. And that is what makes the optics of the Minneapolis fraud so devastating. The left has tried to deny the reality that Americans, and particularly white Americans, and particularly white male Americans, are at the lowest rung on the societal ladder. If nothing else, the Somalian fraud has officially proven this. It has indicted the societal hierarchy of America. This has managed to hollow out that last bit of justice that was already struggling to give our system some level of legitimacy. To really understand why this is so critical, you first have to understand that justice is dependent on context. A punishment can only be considered just once it's been juxtaposed to a crime. Because justice is dependent on related context, there has to be a consistent response across the board. To maintain justice, citizens have to trust that a just response will meet their actions. Given that there is this required trust, expectation management becomes extremely important. The perception of justice is the most important element to maintaining a just system. Knowing that there will
Why are they wearing masks, I wonder? Why is Nick Shirley's security team wearing masks?
Interesting. Is what informs people's decision-making. It is also the barometer for satisfaction within a system. If one group is systematically punished unjustly, while another is gratuitously rewarded for nothing, then people will become disillusioned with the system. This applies directly to what the Somalian fraud story did to America broadly. Prior to the story being broken, there were plenty of uninformed NPC white Americans that likely didn't have too much of a problem with the American government. Then, the day they saw the Somalia story, even though nothing had tangibly changed in their own lives, the news had managed to incite severe levels of anger and dissatisfaction. For many, it brought their hatred of the government to a level that they hadn't even experienced before. There are plenty of Americans that have been committed to frugality.
And it's stupid. It's stupid because, no, they're not angry at the government. They're angry at the brown people. Okay, you want to know how I know that? You want to know how? Because the Pentagon has stolen over $4 trillion from us in the last 10 years. Us, the taxpayer. So if you want to talk about like, oh, that's my money, they're taking my money. Well, yeah, it's not the Somalis, man. It's white guys in suits, in camo, at the Pentagon. That's who's taking your money. That's who's stealing your money. That's who's committing fraud. Okay, did Somalis in Minnesota commit fraud? Sure, undeniably. Undeniably they did. But from my research, and I'm open to hearing more about it in the comments, okay? If you want to comment your, like, no, actually, it was way more than this, okay? Look, confirmed right now, Somalis have stolen up to $822 million. Could they have stolen more than that? Could the fraudsters in the Somali community have taken more than that? Sure. Sure, maybe. Maybe it was $1 billion. Maybe it was $2 billion. But that is nothing next to what the Pentagon has taken. That is nothing. And keep in mind, the Pentagon has been taking from us for not that much longer than this, because like they've been failing the audit since what, 2012? That's when they started refusing the audit. Okay. So over the last 10 to 15 years, they've taken around $4.2 trillion from us. Okay, it's gone missing. It's unaccounted for. Oh yeah, no, we had to spend $100,000 on this bag of washers. Yeah. Something tells me that that one of these things is a lot bigger than the other. If you see what I'm saying. If you're picking up what I'm putting down here. Yeah. For some reason, I think that like the fraud happening in the Minnesota Somali community is just nothing next to the much bigger, the big picture fraud happening in America, which is happening on the side of healthcare providers. Okay, for those of you that don't know, hospitals, healthcare providers, they commit fraud. Okay, if you ask them for like an itemized list when you go to the hospital, you're gonna see like $40 for a Jell-O packet. Okay, that's fraud. That's fraud. It is. But they have to do it because of the insurance companies. The insurance companies force their hand through litigation. Okay, you see, hospitals, they know that insurance companies have the best lawyers, and they're going to take them to court, and they're going to fuck them over. So they commit fraud to account for that. Okay, they have to. But it fucks over regular Americans. It extremely fucks over Americans that don't have insurance. So that's what happens. That's how it works. That's where the real fraud is happening. Okay, it's happening in the hospitals, and it's happening in the Pentagon. So, that's why. That's why. It's not like downplaying to talk about this. That's why we say if you are going to just never shut up about Somalis and like it's Somalis and they're evil, if you're going to constantly hammer that, then you are a racist person. You are ignoring what our government is doing, and you are hyper-fixating on what a small group, a minority of a minority is doing, when these people are, you know, by the way, I haven't even said this yet, they are living in abject poverty. They are living in abject poverty, bro, because they are immigrants. They are immigrants that had to flee their war-torn nation that we destabilized. So they're living in abject poverty. There are some fraudsters in the community that committed abhorrent instances of fraud. Like they took money from children, okay? Tax money that was supposed to go to children, to feeding children, to educating children. They took it, and that's evil. That is such an evil thing to do. But again, 822 million? It's a drop in the bucket, America. Please listen to me.
Saved and overworked themselves for decades. And in that time period, as they fought against the government that inflated their dollars and corporations that looked to squeeze them at every turn, they reached their twilight years with a solid amount of cash. And yet they have all been told that despite their responsibility and dedication, they still weren't able to save nearly as much money as a bunch of 65 IQ scamming Somalians. What's worse, these people were essentially being gifted these millions of dollars from the American government. Overnight, the justice that remained in America vanished. The importance of justice...
They weren't, no, they weren't gifted the money. They stole it. The money was gifted to children. Okay, this is something that I was trying to explain I don't know if it was my last video about this, but it was either the last one or the one before that I made about this topic. I said like this money wasn't stolen from taxpayers, it was stolen from children. Okay, that's what I said, and a lot of people got mad at me for saying that. I got multiple comments where people were like, "You fucking dumbass! It was stolen from the taxpayer," and it's like, well, sort of. Here's what actually happened. Okay, let's break it down. Like, we all know this in our minds, but like, let's just go through it step by step. The government passed legislation in Minnesota to give money to the children. Okay, are we following? And so then they got the money and they gifted it. Okay, they gave it as a gift to the children, for the children. And then the scammers intercepted, okay, the middlemen that were supposed to provide the food and the education, right, to these children with this tax money. They pocketed it instead. That's what happened. So it's not like really stealing from the taxpayer, okay? The taxpayer was paying the money anyway. They stole the money from the children. The money was given to the children, and they stole it. The money for the children.
The hierarchy isn't often talked about in general discourse, but it truly is one of the most important elements that is required to successfully maintain order and productivity. I have an anecdote that explains the direct effect that this has microcosmically. At a company I once worked at, everybody on my team had thought they were pretty well paid. I even thought I was well paid. On some particular Wednesday, nobody had any problem with their paycheck. But that evening, the salary of one of the new guys that had been added to the team got leaked. This guy was fine at his job.
Okay.
The problem was that he was making significantly more money than almost everybody else on the team, and his role was diminutive. He didn't have a lot of experience. And
it's because he was a brown person. It's because, yeah, r/that happened. r/that happened. I mean, look, if that did happen, that's fucked up. And it's certainly not the fault of the guy getting paid more, okay? Whether he was white or brown, I'm assuming, he was brown, okay? Based on this motherfucker. And whether that story is real or not, I cannot say, okay? That, like, objectively, the person that we're watching here, he's an extreme racist, okay? He is. I know, I've said it before, okay? Classic J-Star moment. Extreme racist, okay? That's who this is, okay? Here on the J-Star broadcast, we react to all sorts of extreme racist, okay? We do. That's what we do here, okay? We love it. So anyway, that's why I call into question the validity of this story, because that is what he's gonna say. He's gonna say that the guy that was getting paid all the money, he was a brown person or some shit. Okay, watch.
Why he was apparently worth the amount of money that he was getting paid. Once Thursday came around, every single person on the team wanted a raise. They immediately felt underappreciated. It didn't
Yeah, and that's fair. That's fair. You should get paid more. Everybody should get paid more. All employees across the board. Okay, especially blue-collar workers. Especially people that provide necessary services. Okay, bus drivers, janitors, custodians, sewage workers, construction workers, electricians, HVAC. All of these people, maybe not HVAC that much. They get paid enough, okay? but all of these blue-collar workers, they deserve more. Plumbers, they deserve more money. And at the same time, so do white-collar workers, okay? Like I've worked in corporate offices before. I know what it's like, okay? And it's not like the hardest job in the world, okay? It's for people with soft hands.
17 said, "Wow, nice game. I'm obsessed with this game. Add me on Discord."
Well, that's a bot.
Robert 6821.
Yeah, I forgot I had it set to a gaming right now. My bad. All right. I changed it. Yeah, so anyway, what was I talking about? I forgot.
That 12 hours ago, they all felt
that totally derailed me.
Even one person
Wait, hold on.
And nobody could figure out why he was apparently worth the amount of money that he was getting.
Oh yeah, I was saying I worked in a corporate office before. And it's not a, not all of the jobs are like equally easy, but like I've also worked in food service and I've also worked in construction. And my corporate job was definitely the easiest out of all of them. Okay, it was like, my hands were so soft, okay, so supple even. And yet I was making more money than I ever have doing anything else. Except for maybe, I had like a corporate job, another corporate job but I didn't work in an office environment. I went around to different locations and I don't want to go into too much detail, but I was a network engineer, and this company owned a bunch of businesses, and they needed help with, their internet and shit because it sucked, because it was set up by Comcast. Dude, Comcast has fucked up so much of our shit, bro. I feel like people really have no idea. They don't realize how fucked up our internet is in America. Like, a lot of places in America, believe it or not, and I saw this with my own eyes. Okay, and if you're an American and you live in a rural area, you'll know what I'm talking about. Okay, they don't have gigabit internet. They still don't have gigabit internet. Like, people don't understand. Like, in other countries, everybody has internet speeds around there. Okay, all the developed Western nations. Okay, and America doesn't, and there's a reason for it. But we're not going to get into that right now, okay? But maybe another time.
On the team wanted a raise. They immediately felt underappreciated. It didn't matter that 12 hours ago they had all felt great about their salaries. When even one person was overpaid comparative to his worth, the value assessment within the hierarchy got thrown completely out of whack. In the end, the owner.
Okay. So maybe the moral of the story here isn't that the guy was brown. He's just saying that he's gonna make like a parallel argument. He's gonna say that like Somalis are making so much more than Americans, and everybody thinks it's unfair, and yada yada yada. And it's so funny to me because the Somalis in Minnesota live in abject poverty. They do. A few people from the Somali community got rich by scamming the government. It wasn't all of them. It wasn't even most of them. It wasn't even many of them. It was like a few dozen of them. It was a very small portion relative to the size of the population. It's crazy.
When he had to relent and give out a few raises just to appease emotions. But this didn't solve the problem, and it actually does even more long-term damage. When this type of thing happens, the incentive shifts away from wanting to be good at your job in order to increase your pay, and it changes to, I just want to pressure my boss to have him give me as big of a raise as possible. This loss of justice inevitably leads to what is called the looting phase within a system. People become focused on scamming rather than improving. They want to see how much they can just get away with. Everybody's in a rush to grab everything that they can. It's extremely obvious that America has reached this point across the board, and the Somalian fraud solidifies it. Until a genuinely strong leader can come in and re-establish justice, people will be far more interested in conning rather than improving. If this continues to go on, productivity and accomplishment in America will only be relegated to those who are driven purely by accomplishment itself and not the transactional result of their efforts. That is an extremely
I don't really agree with this, because Americans are so fairness brained. Like Americans are obsessed with what's fair. That's what they want. They want to feel fairness. This is why meritocracy is such a pervasive argument for our system. Okay, people want to believe in meritocracy. That illusion is breaking down, but people, they want to believe in that. They want to believe in fairness. Okay, and they are obsessed with achieving fairness. Okay, so I don't see Americans as scammers yet. And furthermore, neither are immigrants. Okay, because these immigrant communities, this kind of thinking bleeds into their communities as well. Okay, it does. Americans, they just want to feel like they are being treated fairly, and that's not happening anymore. And it's not because of brown people. It's because there is an elite pedophile cabal at the top of our society, which comprises probably all of the living presidents, other than maybe Obama. I don't know. I don't think Obama is diddling kids. And I feel like Bush probably wouldn't either. But also, he's so stupid. Maybe he like accidentally did. Maybe he like accidentally he got like manipulated into diddling a child by Dick Cheney or some shit for the blackmail. Maybe they drugged him. Straight up, bro. I don't think George Bush is a pedophile. I don't think he's really a he's an evil person. Okay, outside of that. But like, I don't think he diddles kids. But he is certainly also a fucking moron, which makes him easily manipulable. Which also makes me think, like, there's no real reason to push him to be a pedophile, because he's so dumb, you don't even have to blackmail him. But I don't know. I don't know, man. I could be wrong. But my point is like, it's not brown people, man. The reason Americans feel like the system is unfair is because of the pedophiles, and because of healthcare, and that's pretty much it, actually. I think that's pretty much everything. Housing as well, affordability of housing, and like, you know, general affordability as well, you know, groceries. That's it. I love groceries. Groceries, it's a beautiful word.
If a smart college graduate can make far more money starting a fake NGO and sending invoices to the government than if they just took an entry-level job, then that's where a lot of our intelligent minds would go, especially if there aren't any consequences for that type of behavior. Perception is everything here. People have to believe that they will be caught and punished if they decide to scam the system. That's the only thing that will stop them. Right now, they know that that's not happening, so everyone wants to just get in on the action. And while the fraud is shattering the perception of justice...
Yeah, and it would be a good idea to bring up the USSR here, man, because, like, a lot of that fake bureaucracy shit, like, people just, like, playing the system, it happened under Stalin, okay, and people bring it up all the time, the anti-communist, okay, but, yeah, you can certainly make a parallel with America, but mainly in the corporatocracy. But the problem with making that argument is the like number of these white-collar jobs is shrinking, and it will continue to shrink, especially with AI. But like basically, Americans are there. In the past, there has been a subset of Americans that work in these office jobs, and they don't really do anything, and so it's kind of like scamming. I wouldn't really call it scamming, okay? Not really. Like, you know, you gotta eat, bro. But if you want to call it scamming, sure, fine. Okay, whatever. People like, you know, people working useless jobs. to make ends meet, people have done this. This was extremely pervasive in our media. I was talking about this the other day. Office Space, Falling Down, Fight Club. Okay, like middle age, or not even middle age, but like a young man, white guy in his late 20s, early 30s, working in an office job. Like, I have a stable income. I'm miserable. Like that was a thing back then. Okay, because people, they were working these jobs and they felt like scammers. They felt like useless. They felt like they were doing nothing, and because they weren't doing anything. Okay, they were just clocking in and filing their TPS reports and then clocking out. Okay, and like, anyway, all that is to say is those jobs are all, like, over the last few decades have been becoming fewer and fewer. Okay, I'd say we were probably at the peak of that in like the early to mid 2000s. But like, it's been tapering off, and it's about to, like, the amount of those jobs is about to fucking plummet. Okay, because of AI. Okay, AI can do, and I've been saying this. I've been saying it for like 3 or 4 years. Okay, a lot of programmers, a lot of people that are into AI will tell you what I'm telling, but they'll also tell you that, like, the AI is gonna replace developers. Okay, and this idea has become more pervasive amongst developers, especially since the advent of the latest AI models who can like construct complex programming projects, okay, coding projects. But anyway, they're stupid. They're stupid because you're not gonna replace development first. Okay, that's not gonna happen. Like, it just never is, and it would be, it could happen at some point, but I really hope it doesn't, because when there are no more developers working, then that means AI it's completely hands off, basically. Like, AI is on its own. Okay, the Shoggoth needs handlers. Okay, it needs people with nets to catch it. Okay, or it's gonna go rogue. It's gonna kill all of us. I'm telling you, AI, it'll kill all of us. Straight up, bro. That's why I keep saying, like, I'm not worried about humans launching the nukes. Humans aren't gonna launch the nukes. We're never gonna do that. It's gonna be AI. That's it. Alright, anyway. The real jobs that are gonna start disappearing because of AI are office jobs. Okay, that's what's gonna happen. AI can just do all of their jobs so easily, so much more efficiently. It can. Okay, because most of these people are doing nothing. They're typing into spreadsheets. They're inputting data into databases. Okay, for a living. That's what they do. Okay, like, they're not building anything. They're not, they're keeping, I'm not saying they're doing nothing. Okay, office workers, they keep operations running. They keep things running smoothly in the company. But AI is going to be able to do this. AI is already kind of able to do this. Okay, but it's going to be able to do this. And pretty much anybody that is working at a corporation right now that isn't an engineer or a high-ranking officer, you're gonna be out of work. You're about to be out of work, bro. So maybe stop voting Republican. Maybe vote for more welfare. Maybe.
We're now seeing riots and crime erupt throughout Minneapolis, and the left truly believes that we've now entered fascism. They're seeing everything that's going on, and they're convinced that we do live.
Of course we have. How can you be saying this now? Like, I don't know how long it took you to edit this video, but, like, do you realize that Dondolf Trumpler over here is about to invade Greenland? Do you know who else invaded Europe? Do you know who else engaged in imperialist expansion in Europe? Look, say what you will about America. You know, we've taken over countries before. We've done regime changes. Okay, we've annexed new territories. Okay, we've done this. But we've only done it to brown people. We've never done it to white people. Nobody has ever done it to white people. Since Hitler. Since Adolf. It's not good, man. It's a bad look. It's a really bad look.
A whole lot more comfortable with this sort of thing. We cannot have people acting like they're on board to restore order, then recoiling at the sight of something unsettling. But rather than hash out the details of the shoot, I want to reiterate a point I try to make often. At the moment, the left wing in America is being maximally activated and minimally punished. The left believes that they are living in an actively fascist state. They have been so shielded from reality and consequence throughout their entire lives that they believe that force isn't an obvious requisite for fascism or for just a police state even. They can't understand that given the fact that they're free to and even encouraged to criticize the government invalidates the proposition that we live under some hard-right regime. It doesn't matter though. Their emotions are already there. Because of these emotions, they're able to broadcast a red alert to Democrats all across the country. These lunatics then increase their own output of propaganda. What this results in is the radical activation of the left. They now get a wonderful narrative, which is that Trump has mobilized the Gestapo to snatch parents and children out of the cars, and that they're willing to kill mothers who get in the way. And the left even has enough video footage to convince.
But they did that. But they did kill. The guy killed her, and has since suffered zero consequences. Huh?
People of this. Fuentes' label of performative cruelty is sincerely the best way to describe what's going on here. It almost seems like the Trump admin is intentionally putting out the worst footage of themselves while producing completely ineffectual.
Of course they are. Of course they are. Yes. Yes, it is performative cruelty, yeah. And by the way, Nick Fuentes, he watches Hasan, okay? I know he watches Hasan because he said that. And I watch Hasan. And Hasan has said that many times before, multiple times that I've heard. But yeah, of course they're doing performative cruelty. So that they can mobilize, so they could fucking declare jihad on liberals, okay? That's why. That's why he wants to, in all seriousness, they want to do the Insurrection Act. They want to declare martial law. That's what they want to do. They are looking for any excuse. They are stoking the flames. They are poking the bear. They're trying to, come on, do something, people, come on. They want people to be extreme. They want people to do violence against police, right? Against these ICE thugs. They want this. Let's see what you think.
Go walk downtown and you'll immediately face off against a handful of deranged, drugged-out criminals acting with total impunity. And yet, the left still believes we have a dictator. The left has been given the most activating narrative that they could ever hope for, and the right isn't even doing what they're being accused of. Thus, we're getting none of the benefits that we would get if we were genuinely cracking down. So if the left can convince its useful idiots that we're up against an encroaching fascist state, then we really only have one option. We have to beat these people to the punch. And we're seeing clips like this.
The blue tsunami means that Congress is going to haul Elon Musk, Big Balls, and a bunch of other people's ass in front and say, what crimes did you commit? And it's going to get really serious. And the same with Trump, because I believe, and this is just my opinion, that Trump and all of the bottom-feeding morons surrounding him, and Elon Musk and all the bottom-feeding Klingoners that surround him, I think they commit crimes every day.
Yeah, look, America, this is my message to you. We can still turn this around. We can still turn this around, okay? And here's the thing. If we collectively decide to, like, 180 on all of this, the rich people, they're gonna try to stop us. And I think that that's obvious, sure. But if we collectively wake up, which I think is kind of starting to happen, they're not going to try to stop us in the traditional way, which is to, divvy up the working class, divvy up working people, divvy the peasants up into, divvy everyone up into all these little categories, and then make people fight. Okay, that's not going to be the plan anymore. It's going to be more boots on the ground, brutal suppression. Okay, because that's all they'll have. That's all they'll have. You're going to see private militias. You're going to see, like, corporate military. A lot more. Privatized military. And I'm not saying this to make people afraid. I just want you to know what to expect if we do this. Okay, but we're probably not going to do this because Americans are stupid. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm stupid, bro. I'm an American. Americans are stupid, but they're also not quite yet primed for the radicalization that I've like gone down. You know, Americans aren't ready for my kind of thinking yet. I don't think. But we'll see. We'll see. I don't know. But anyway, if we did want a 180, we should all vote Democrat. We should pressure the I know, it's silly. Okay, Democrat, whatever, third party, just not Republicans. Just not Republicans, okay? We can't get them to do it. We can't get them to do it, because here's what we gotta do. Whoever we elect, we have to pressure them into dismantling these institutions by any means necessary. Impeach the president, impeach the vice president, remove both of them, put whoever becomes the Speaker of the House, you know, a lib, make sure they're a lib, okay, give them the presidency. That's it. That's it. That's what we do. Okay, that's the plan. That is the only, and anyway, that's not going to happen. And that's why the world is going to end. Okay, so hey, you know, do whatever you want. Don't hurt anyone, don't kill anyone. We're all dead anyway, though. Like, look at what's happening. There is still time, though. There is still time. We could turn this around. I think these midterms, okay, if we were to, like, do a blue wave, do a fucking third-party wave, whatever, okay, whoever we elect, they have to stand up to this administration. They have to remove Donald Trump. They have to remove J.D. Vance. Anything short of that, and we're dead. That's it.
I think to reconcile all of this is going to take hardcore, not integrity Democrats. Fuck you, Democrats. Fuck you for fucking over our country. We are serious about this. We are prosecuting. We're going to uncover every document, every phone call, everything you did. We will be relentless about it. And that's the mindset they've got to have, because I think the electorate is going from, we've got to get him out, but also we want accountability.
There has to be accountability. You have to have a situation where there's accountability. And I talked about this the other day with Fanone. If we get back in there, and I'm not saying I'm part of the Democratic Party, but I'm saying this is the way the Democrats should communicate. They should say, when they're back in there, if you guys are going to cling to this idea that Donald Trump is unaccountable, it's just not going to work. And that means adding seats to the Supreme Court so that immunity decision can be overturned, and so Donald Trump can be held accountable for his crime.
Then it honestly makes far more sense to actually implement the things that they're accusing us of. This cannot be reconciled. We have to win. Power is the only way to do that. Tim Walz can go and declare that he's at war with the federal government.
Well, I said this yesterday. We've never been at war with our federal government. I think in this case that the National Guard is their main mission. They have a dual mission.
And nothing happens to it. Meanwhile, the left has had the revolutionary spirit awakened by this rhetoric. Even worse, when they come out and oppose the federal government without any repercussions, they actually start to believe that they're winning because there are zero consequences. They're then emboldened even further.
We don't feel like we're winning. We don't feel like we're winning, man. Stop saying this. Stop saying this shit. I keep hearing it over and over again. I think this might be like a classic kind of conservative talking point, but it's a little before my time. We don't feel like we're winning. We don't feel emboldened. Libs are scared. Okay, they're scared. I'm not really scared, me personally. Okay, because if the secret police come after me, like I said, I'ma start blasting. Okay? That's what, look, I've said it before. I had this thought when I was a kid. When I was learning about the Nazis. Okay? I thought, why didn't they just blast them when they came to their door? That's what I thought. Like, why didn't they just fucking kill them? Like, if I were hiding Jews up in my attic and they were like, oh, can I come in? I want to look around. Oh, willkommen. Okay, I was like, why didn't they just kill them? That's what I would have done. Okay, and I still feel that way. And I think I feel that way because I'm an American. Okay, and that's our solution to most of this shit. Is like, yeah, let's start blasting. Let's start shooting. Okay, that's it. That's it, dog. So like, that's my message to the secret police. Like, if you want to do a Custer's Last Stand with me, fine, man. All right, I guess that's it, man. That's it for me. You know, whatever. Oh, well. What a way to go out. I've always wanted to die violently. But anyway, most libs, they're not like me. Okay, they're not like me. They're terrified. Because they're just ordinary people. They have families, they have children. They're scared. They feel insecure. That's it. And anyway, what I had another point that I was gonna make. I can't remember what it was though.
They actually start to believe that they're winning because there are zero consequences.
Yeah, winning.
They're then emboldened even further. We do not have a
win
choice.
here, win there.
It will be used against us. And for all those who like to explain that Trump is simply doing his best, you need to really internalize what a performative contradiction is. A classic example of this would be to say, I'm not speaking, because the action of speaking negates the validity of your claim. In the same vein, you need to start learning how to recognize actions that contradict stated goals. Dissident West made this point in a recent tweet about immigration. After a post came out saying that Steve Bannon was calling for Trump to arrest owners of companies who employed illegal immigrants, Dissident West said, the The fact that we haven't done this already is how I know they're not serious about deportations. This would have been their top priority on day one if they really wanted to solve this problem. What he is noting is essentially a performative contradiction by the Trump admin. They know what methods would be effective and they aren't using them, while insisting that they're doing everything they can.
Yeah, man, that's because we need illegal workers. They need illegal work. I say we need them. We don't need them. we're just regular fucking people. But business owners, the elite class, they need. You're never gonna elect a rich guy that's gonna say, yeah, let's get rid of the illegals. No, they make money off of them. Their friends make money off of them. That's how it works, man. And it's not as simple as just they pay them less. Okay, it's also they can keep them scared. They can keep them docile because they are illegals. They can hang deportation over their heads so that they never organize. They never unionize. That's why they need illegal labor. But keep in mind that the crime which makes these people illegal is simply not renewing their documents. That is the heinous crime that they are deserving of brutal deportation. Brutal punishment.
Actions undermine their stated goals. The entirety of the Minneapolis situation is another example of touching the nettle as opposed to grasping it. This entire city is undermining the validity of America both as a culture and as a state. As I gear up to lose my anonymity, I am most certainly not going to be able to keep my job. With that, I'm going to start having to figure out a way to make some money doing this. I don't really have another choice. So the first thing I'm trying out is this pin. This is the symbol of the Russian white volunteers who aided the Nationalists during the Spanish Civil War from 1936 to 1939. For anyone that doesn't know, my profile picture is the Russian White Army, which was the ragtag coalition of right-wing opposition to the Bolsheviks. Kind of like what we are, fighting up against this Bolshevik army of billionaires, leftists, and all the... Most certainly not going to be able to keep my job. With that, I'm going to start having to figure out a way to make some money doing this. I don't really have another choice. So the first thing I'm trying out is this pin. This is the symbol of the Russian white volunteers who aided the Nationalists during the Spanish Civil War from 1936 to 1939. For anyone that doesn't know, my profile picture is the Russian White Army, which was the ragtag coalition of right-wing opposition to the Bolsheviks. Kind of like what we are, fighting up against this Bolshevik army of billionaires, leftists, and all the rest.
So you mean czarist? So you mean like the little fucking... God, I know I know these guys, okay? Yeah, so for those of you that don't know, the Bolsheviks violently overthrew the Tsarist regime that was in Russia at the time. Okay, it was kind of fucked up. They kidnapped the royal family, and then they murdered them, okay? That wasn't the plan originally, but somebody murdered them. They still don't know who, okay? Or they'll never know who it was. But anyway, somebody murdered them. Anyway, the remnants of the old Tsarist regime, they fought against the Bolsheviks, and they got absolutely annihilated, okay? Because the Bolsheviks were incredibly popular with the Russian people. So that's it, rip bozo.
Same concept, and they look great. It also has RWC 20.
And they look great.
So when I lose my anonymity, I'm likely going to just rebrand this channel to my name. So this will give you some proof that you were part of the OG crew before it changes. Definitely pick one up, and it will really help me out and figure out the best way to go about this. It costs $15, shipping is free, so please check the link in the description and in the pinned comment. Also, I'm going to be trying to figure out what to do with Patreon. After my podcast with Tom Foe, I'm considering doing a weekly or bi-weekly podcast where
I reacted to that.
And maybe bring on guests. But please let me know what you think. You guys have to be interested in it for me to do it. So let me know. Also, when I do go full-time with this, I'll be able to put out far more content and likely at a much higher quality too. But that cannot happen if I don't figure out a way to at least sustain my life.
Maybe you could get a job?